Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Now, 25 years since winning Division 2 in 2000, 2001. First of all, can you believe it's been that long?
No, it makes me feel old. Got to be honest, I'm sure that'd be the answer from all the lads, and it's a little bit surreal to sit here today, not just as Cambridge United manager and ex-Mill manager on 2 occasions, but just 25 years on. Just think about how far we've come and different pathways to live in different countries, to different job routes, etc., etc.
Through ball to Harris, one-on-one situation here. Harris tries to do his thing, and Harris has scored! Neil Harris makes it 2-0!
Still a very close group of friends, and it was quite surreal, but very special to be able to look back with such fond memories.
25 years is crazy, isn't it? How time goes, but yeah, some great memories. Hopefully we can go through a few memories and have a chat about it.
That's a long time ago. We were very much young men, and some of the guys are still slightly younger men than me as well. It was a terrific time in my life, a terrific time for the football club as a whole.
Ball is for Neil Harris, and Harris has been drawn wide. Harris looks to go inside the penalty area, plays it back for Reid. Oh, what a goal! Stephen Reid! What a rocket for Reid!
It seems to have gone in a flash, to be honest. Obviously the trophy, and it's still a big part of my life. Still in touch with obviously a big group from that era. Still some close mates. Still catch up with a lot of the lads now and again. Always great to come back. Still one of the biggest highlights of my career and of my life.
You look back at it and you think it's just round the corner. Time does fly, as they say, and this has definitely flown and crept right up upon us. We saw it coming, sort of the 20-year anniversary, and then you sort of look at it again, and then it comes up 25 years, and you think, wow, it just seems like yesterday. It has gone so quick.
Well, I think for people of Millwall fans of a certain age, the greatest period in the club's history was the promotion to the old First Division and the 2 seasons there.
Cook gets on, and he saved it! Oh, they've gone bananas behind that goal.
Alan Evans, Sheringham finding doors. It's Cascarino again. He's scored again. This is incredible.
If we look at the decade leading up to the season that we're now considering, the 2000-2001, it had been a pretty turbulent time. Millwall had gone down to the second tier, the second division, I think it was. Bruce Rao, that season, they got to the playoffs. Drew Brighton in a 2-leg semi-final, and inexplicably went to the Goldstone Ground and got whacked. This following summer, the old First Division team broke up. The likes of Les Briley was out of favour, Brian Horn was still there but out of favour. Not surprisingly, things didn't go well, and early into the following year, I think they lost 6-1 at Portsmouth. Bruce Rioch got sacked. Mick McCarthy, who was a player then, took over as a temporary manager and was then given the job. So we were relegated to the 3rd tier. Jimmy Nicholl was the manager. Behind the scenes, unbeknown to us at the time, things were coming to a head financially. And in the January, the club went into administration. Theo Pavitas rode to the rescue, but on the field, things were grim.
At one point we had a couple of managers in the season, Billy Bonds, John Docherty, and then finally sort of Rhino and Macca came in, got hold of the team, young players, as I say, coming through, Cahill, Reid, Ifill, etc., etc.
And they were class for me. I needed a lot of polishing. Didn't really understand the Millwall way. There's a lot of work they had to do with me just to try and get me to a point where I could play in the first team. So a lot to thank them for, personally, and I think a lot of the young boys would say the same.
And it was that kind of era where the club financially wasn't in an amazing place. So we got our opportunity, us younger players, through that. We had some talent, but combined with that, we had a few decent, experienced players that you look back on that time and you think how good they were for us. They would do extras with us, would give us good advice, would stay behind after training to work on bits and pieces with us. So that really helped us and our journey, like real good balance of the youth coming through, but also that experience.
First season auto windscreen shield final at Wembley, first Wembley appearance since 1945 War Cup final. The next season really started to make headway in the league, got to the playoffs, and were absolutely, how we lost at Wigan in that playoff second leg. The first leg was drawn, but we were by far the better side.
It was a bit of a flat performance, you know, great following from our guys as usual, but it was a little bit flat and we couldn't really get going and on that night. And yeah, and I think it may have been a bit too early for us.
As a learning experience, that awful phrase, it was probably really valuable, but at the time it was horrible. Like it's horrible. Like I'm out of football years now, so I'm aware that things happen in the world which are much more serious than losing a game of football. But when you're in the world of professional football, losing a match like that feels like catastrophic. Which it should do. It shouldn't matter to you that much, but it did at the time.
But yeah, we just thought it was going to go our way. We were ready and playing well, but we just didn't get the run of the green in that second game.
But I think if you were to kind of join the dots then to what happened the following season and the season after, I think having the experience of getting to that point, doing as well as we did, but still not getting what we felt we deserved, I think that helps. That's got to help.
You know, just that experience, that disappointment, making sure that we wanted to go one better the year after, I think really, or the season after, really helped us in that sense.
Of course, when we lost in the playoffs, everybody was devastated. But I think the good thing was that we had a nucleus of such a good squad and some old heads and some young heads that it didn't knock us back.
We all went away. We'd go away together at the end of the year for 5 days, and that would put that season to bed and it'd be on to the next one. And when would have come in pre-season, it just would have been right. We just trained 100% every day. There was never a step backwards in training. No one ever missed a day's training for a rest or anything. It was just full tilt.
We were sort of the favourites to go up on that season, and you know, we needed a fast start. Did we get the fast start? No, we didn't, and that's where heads rolled with Keith and Alan.
But I think because of the expectation the year before, I think it carried on, didn't it? It's almost like, right, you're ready. You've got to go and take it on.
We really did believe that we were going to go all the way, and started the season, you know, well enough. We had injury problems. Lucas Neal was away on with the Olympic squad with us in Australia. So they were, you know, the management were a bit hamstrung at the start, and I think that was reflected in some hit and miss results early on.
Playing very little part further in this game as the ball is hit the penalty area. It's a chance here. Wickham have scored, and it's Andy Baird who gets it. And now pull back pass from Lawrence. The ball agonised, they roll it towards the goal. It's off the post and they scored. Wickham have in front.
We got to mid-September, I believe, and then after the draw at Brentford, a bolt from the blue. On the Sunday, I got a phone call to say Rhino and Macca have been relieved of their duty. I couldn't believe it. I really, you know, I had no inkling that was on the cards.
I don't think we were great that day, but I also don't think we were awful. So the actual reaction, you know, the fans were right by the tunnel. So as we were going back in after the game, we were expecting, you know, not a round of applause, but at least a bit of appreciation. But they went for Rhino and Macca and kind of were really disappointed and vented it. And we all went back into the change and were really surprised and were like, you know, where's that come from? And, you know, our fans are the best in the world, but they'll let you know when they're not happy. So, you know, clearly there was something that they weren't happy with.
I was disappointed in Mill fans for the first time in my life because that was an absolute legend. Like, the Mill fans were spitting and calling Rhino everything under the sun. So when he left, I was devastated, yeah.
But it wasn't nice, if I'm being honest. That was, I think they were spitting at Rhino, probably the players as well. So it was pretty hard to take, but it's football, and the next day you sort of forget about it and you go back into your job. And no disrespect to Rhino, but as players, the man just come in and you have to just get on with it. You can't then be holding, wish Rhino's still here, because he's gone now, and the next day is a new day and you just got to move on.
you know, the journey home, it was a bit quiet, and you thought, you know, the two legends of the football club and the fans are starting to go against them. You know, would they walk themselves? But it wasn't to be. And I got a phone call from the kit man to say that they had gone, and Steve Gritt was going to be in charge of the team.
You forget as a player how maybe expectant, disappointed, how, you know, their standards, and they wanted us out of that league. And I think obviously they panicked, having lost the playoffs the year before, that if we weren't going to be up there again, then something needs to change to get us out of this league.
It taught me a lot as well about the football club culture. That two club legends like they were got heavily abused walking off the pitch at the end, and it hit them hard that day. So looking back, probably wasn't a surprise that a change was made. We as a group were devastated. Like, we idolised them, you know, for just the Mill status and just what they knew, how they just done it. Was just taught me so much. Taught me so much.
Theo Paphitis has made tough decisions. You know, you don't get to where he is in the world without making tough decisions. But I assume that was right up there in footballing terms. I don't know what it would have been like to sit down with Macker and Rhino. Was it in this room? Was it upstairs? I don't know where. And actually tell them, sorry lads. Macker came in the following day, on the Monday, and we were all gathered in the canteen, and I think Bob Pearson was there kind of giving us a bit of a speech, and then Macker came in, and I think his intention was probably to say something like, you know, thanks for everything, a few encouraging words, goodbyes, maybe stay for some handshakes or whatever. But he was too emotional to get more than a couple of sentences out. It was the most impactful of any of the manager changes I've ever got. And then there was loads of different managers I played under at the time. But that morning, that day, we were sitting there going, football is brutal.
Where we're fortunate as players is there's the next game, and you kind of focus on that. So what was good is obviously Ray Hartford was already at the club at the time. He had come in the season before, and it, you know, in the end it was quite seamless, you know, with Ray and Steve Gritt still there. So you know, that transition wasn't as difficult as maybe it could be. But yeah, we were obviously disappointed to see Keith and Alan go, because ultimately they were the people that brought us to the football club. Well, they brought me to the football club, gave me my chance. And your first thought is, you at times like that you feel like maybe you've let them down. But again, I can understand it from Theo's point of view, where there was a talent group of players that should have been higher up the league at that stage.
But I remember Steve Gritt and Ray Hartford took temporary charge of the team, and the team did really well. And then Mark McGee was announced,